Hello everybody, Josef Junek here, announcing a new series on my channel. I started thinking to myself, who would want to hear my personal opinions? Other people, that's who. So, I am starting a movie and TV review channel. I figured now's a good time to start since I've just graduated from film school and I have now seen over 1,000 films and television shows, and yes, I have been keeping track, so I feel like I'm at least somewhat qualified. So, this is my first ever still frame review, where I don't get on camera because I don't feel like it, and I just put up this still frame of myself, and you can imagine my lips are moving to match my words. And if you're really imaginative, you can imagine the expression on my face is matching the emotion in my voice. So I'm just going to pick a film or television show and talk about what I like and what I don't, and then recommend it accordingly. I want to do a whole variety of different movies from different eras, but also current releases, like today's movie. So for my first ever movie review, we are talking about Soul. The latest Pixar movie came out on Christmas of 2020 exclusively on Disney Plus after being delayed by the cough. The story follows Joe Gardner, who teaches middle school band but is also an aspiring jazz musician. But just after landing his dream gig, he dies. By accident, his soul lands in the Great Before, which is where souls get their personalities before birth. There, he's assigned to mentor soul number 22 and help her find her spark, which allows her to go to Earth. However, even though they don't find the spark, they both land on Earth by accident anyway, and through a mix-up, 22 lands in Joe's body and Joe lands in a cat's body. 22 has to live Joe's life for a day, and at the end of the day of getting haircuts and new suits, 22 has learned to love life, especially the little things. Joe, however, is still unhappy because he feels his purpose in life is to play the piano at his dream gig. He manages to get back in his body using 22's badge and perform the gig, but later he realizes that's not his purpose in life. And one musical montage later, he realizes that 22 was right all along and he shouldn't chase after one life purpose, but rather take the time to enjoy the little things in life. So, let's talk about some good things in this movie. If you couldn't tell by the plot, jazz plays a very important role in this movie. And I don't like jazz. I mean, I can get behind a little Dixieland or swing music, but like smooth jazz and jazz club type of stuff, I hate that. But this movie somehow made me like jazz. I don't know why exactly, but I think a lot of it had to do with the visuals associated with those scenes. And speaking of the visuals, this is a beautiful, beautiful film. Not only in the real world things with photorealistic atmosphere, texture, lighting with bleed and glare, but really, I especially love the imaginative visuals produced by the unrealistic settings in the Great Before and Great Beyond. I love how some of the abstract art styles in those scenes was really reminiscent of the abstract art usually associated with the jazz age, so it fits the motif of jazz. And the theme of the movie is also incredibly well developed. The message of stopping to enjoy the little things in life is a lot like improvisational jazz, where musicians will stop caring so much about the music they were playing and stop to meander around these little notes that they discovered they really liked, and they go off on a tangent and riff off of that, exploring the flow of the music. So you can see everything really ties together real nicely in this movie thematically. It's very artistic. But what are some bad things about this movie? Well, first off, I'm not entirely sure I agree with the message of the film. I see it as saying, don't try to find a specific purpose in life, but just learn to enjoy the little things in living. However, enjoyment, i.e. self-gratification, will only get you so far. I believe we were each put on Earth for many purposes, as we all have multifaceted lives, but I think it's a great idea to still at least have some sort of general goal in life. Not something specific like playing piano in this one specific jazz band, but more of a rule, and one that relates to others and to God. And since this movie cuts both others and God from the message and only focuses on self-pleasure, it comes across as a lot more shallow than a movie like this ought to. And speaking of shallow, our main characters are also not that well developed either. They both have some character traits that at least others talk about, even if we don't actually see them in the characters themselves. Like, we hear that 22 is supposed to be rebellious and incorrigible, but almost all of her screen time, especially when she's in Joe's body, she's naive, respectful, and pleasant. But a well-defined character is, to be fair, hard to define. But one way is the situational test, which is a character development tool used by some writers. What you do is put two characters in the same situation, and the differences in the way they respond to that situation is what defines the character. And Soul actually gives us this test in the movie, as both Joe and 22 and Joe's body experience the exact same situation of hearing a student, Connie, play the trombone. And how do they react? The exact same way. They're both in awe of Connie's passion. So I'm not really sure what the differences between these two characters' personalities are, and I don't really know what their personalities are. Which pair of characters do you think has a more distinct personality? These two?
I just gotta get back in my body and really bring it tonight.
How come this part is stinky, but this part smells fine?
Never mind, just put those pants on. Jeez, I can't believe I've been walking around the city with no pants on.
I don't even want to be here, remember?
I don't want you here either,
Or these two?
We are awarding you, Terry, this trophy, as you requested.
I'm happy to accept this very special award I requested, but that I absolutely deserve.
The whole movie is structured like a buddy movie, where we watch a relationship grow over the course of 2 hours. But you can't have a meaningful relationship without meaningful characters to build that relationship out of. There's still emotion by the end, but it would be so much better with stronger characters to start out with. And my last big issue is the tone of the movie. It doesn't feel as fun as Pixar's other movies. The second act is especially boring, yet it's about a girl trapped in an old man's body and an old man trapped in a cat's body. They should be doing way more interesting things than just getting a haircut and lying in a sunbeam. I could also do with a bit more humor. There is humor throughout, but it's mostly concentrated in the first act, and it's the more subtle kind, aimed more for adults than kids. In fact, that aiming for adults more than kids is kind of a big issue with this film. Especially if you listen to the dialogue, you can tell this movie doesn't have that same family-oriented, timeless feel that Pixar used to excel in.
Black improvisational music.
Oh crap, she knows. Why do you sound like a middle-aged white lady?
Finish. Cougar.
Is it H-E double hockey sticks?
Hell.
Alright, all that being said, it's time to rate this puppy. Now, keep in mind this is a subjective score. If you want an objective measurement of quality, that's what Rotten Tomatoes is for. I grade this like an academic project, A through F. A through C is a passing grade, meaning I think it's a good movie. C means it's fine. It's enjoyable, but there's nothing particularly outstanding. I'd only recommend it if someone asked me about it. B means it's enjoyable, and there are some outstanding elements to it despite visible flaws. And A means it's a fantastic movie with negligible flaws. I'd go out of my way to recommend it to everyone. D is a weird middle ground, where I don't completely hate it, but I wouldn't recommend it either. And then F means failure. I never want to see that movie again. Alright, so what score do I give Soul? A C. It's fine, enjoyable, but not particularly outstanding. I may have gone a little heavy on the criticisms, but that's just because it seems like all the critics seem to think this movie is the greatest thing since sliced toast. But I think the filmmakers focused a bit too much on theme rather than substance. The film has artistic merit, but little in the way of an entertaining story and enjoyable characters. While the critics may hail this as one of the greatest Pixar films of all time several years down the road, I don't think this will become a beloved classic with the audience. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure if you've seen the film, you've got your own, so leave a comment and let me know what it is. Also, leave a suggestion for another film or show you'd like me to review. I'm wide open for suggestions. Alright, have fun typing your comment to the sound of this groovy outro music.